This meeting is being live streamed on the Council's YouTube channel. The recording of the meeting will remain online for 4 years, and if you are present in the chamber, you are consenting to appearing in the recording and broadcast, which may also be used for training purposes. Anyone else recording or filming from within the room must not obstruct the view of councillors, officers, the public and press, and that flash photography must not be used. As we begin tonight's meeting, I want to remind us of the responsibility we carry as elected representatives. This chamber is not only a place for debate and decision-making, it belongs to the public, and our conduct reflects the trust they have placed in us. There are young people watching, future leaders who may be wondering whether there is a space for them in public life. Whatever their background, we must show them by our example that politics can be conducted with dignity, civility and purpose. My expectation is simple: courtesy, restraint and respect. That includes keeping remarks focused and to time, allowing all members a fair chance to be heard. Members will be heard in turn through the chair, and contributions must remain relevant and respectful. The tone we set matters for tonight and for those who follow us. Let us conduct our business in a way that strengthens the reputation of this chamber and our city. Thank you. Before we proceed to the agenda, I just wanted to offer a reminder regarding points of order and personal explanation. Only one member should speak at a time. However, there are 2 exceptions to that rule. The first is a point of order. If any member thinks a council procedural rule or any matter of law has been broken, they should stand if they can and raise their hand and simply say, "Point of order, Mayor." The Mayor will ask the Speaker to stop and give the member the opportunity for the point of order to be heard. So please wait until the Mayor invites you to explain your point before speaking again. The member must begin by stating the procedural rule that they believe has been broken. And if they can't, they will not be heard further. If the point is heard, the Mayor will give his ruling before moving on. The second circumstance in which it is permissible to interrupt a speaker is to offer a personal explanation. This can only be used if the speaker has said something about the member, or something about what the member has said that he or she believes to be incorrect. Again, the member should stand if they can, or raise their hand and say, "Point of personal explanation, Mayor." Again, the Mayor will ask the Speaker to stop. So please wait until the Mayor invites you to explain your point before speaking again, and the Mayor will conclude by deciding the appropriate course of action. If you are the member speaking when either point is raised, please pause and take your seat until invited by the Mayor to continue speaking. The timer will be paused while points are heard. If you are the member raising a point of order or personal explanation, please keep your comments brief and limited to making the point. These points cannot be used to disagree with what a member is saying in their speech, unless it is about yourself. Members are entitled to express their opinions within the realms of good and orderly conduct, as described by the Mayor in his opening remarks, and the Mayor will manage disorderly conduct as he sees fit. I hope that's clear. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the agenda. Do we have any apologies? I have apologies from councillors Pullen, Jones, Courtney, Riederhold, Brooker, Highland, Lewis, Graham, Evans, and Harries. Is there anybody else? Okay.
Apologies, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to say that Councillor Chambers Diverse is on her way but has car problems.
Okay, thank you, Councillor James. Item 2 on the agenda, declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? Okay. Item 3 is public question time.
No questions.
There are no questions. Moving swiftly on to item 4, petitions and deputations. I have received no petitions or deputations, which means we move on to item 5. External auditors' statutory recommendations.
Councillor Wilson.
Councillor Wilson to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, can I thank everybody for coming tonight? I know it's an extra meeting, and I'm sure we've all got other things we'd rather be doing, but this is an important matter, and I do really appreciate the fact that everybody has shown up. I'm going to take you through what this statutory recommendation letter is, first of all. But before I do so, we have had 2 amendments, and I just want to say that we are happy to accept both of those amendments. I appreciate the spirit in which they've been written. There's a willingness to engage. So that is something that I think is gives me some hope that we can all work together and get through, because it's going to be a very difficult period for this council. The community independence amendment, there are a few slight technical issues that we will have, but we can discuss those at Cabinet. There's 1 or 2 things they're suggesting that we're already doing, but overall we're happy to accept it. I think that they're good sort of positive contributions. With regards to the report itself, we tonight have to consider the statutory recommendation letter we received from our auditors and our response and plan. And what we're being asked to do tonight is to accept that statutory recommendation letter from the auditors and accept the actions that we're proposing to do. I'm just going to briefly outline the reasons why we've had this letter, and it's to do with financial reporting not meeting statutory deadlines. This has been the case since 2021. Unfortunately, we have cleared up some of the years, but we're still behind schedule, and the auditor has decided enough is enough, which I can perfectly understand. The auditors also mentioned concerns that they have about the impact that these delays have had over on our financial management. So that's also sort of laid out in the letter. We have a legal requirement to decide whether or not we accept these recommendations and what action we take. So, with regards to, I'll just take you through our response. The response number 1, recommendation number 1 was to review the finance team. I'll just give you the specific recommendation itself once I find it here. In a sense, they're concerned about our capacity. Some reason, we recommend the council urgently review the finance team to ensure there's sufficient capacity and capability to support the breadth of its activities, including the preparation of accurate financial information. So what we have done is that we have commissioned the Local Government Association to do what they call a DMA, review as decision-making accountability. The aim of this review is to achieve a structure that is effective at making decisions with clear accountabilities and roles and which are efficient in their use of resources across the organisation. They started yesterday, and we expect them to be here for about 3 weeks, and the outcome will be reported to this council in January. I'm not quite sure, I think it might have reported to Cabinet. We've also engaged an additional accountant to set up a proper budgeted monitoring process. I'll come back to that later on. Also, the second recommendation is for us to set out a timetable to produce the 2024-25 and 2025-26 accounts. With regards to 2024-25, the internal deadline is to have these ready by the end of this month. We've been having regular meetings with Ernst & Young, and the audit deadlines for the auditors to sign these accounts off and the value for money audit is February 27th next year. With regards to 2025-26, the whole process is going to be project management by a qualified accountant. There will be weekly meetings, which will make sure there is no slippage. And if the local government organisation recommends that we bring in more resources, then we will bring in more resources. With regards to getting back on track, we will bring in monthly reconciliations. I'm astonished I have to actually say this, but we will bring in balance sheet recommendations, debits, credits, etc., normal sorts of things. I've just noticed I'm running out of time. With your indulgence, can I, given the seriousness of this?
Would members agree for further time?
Thanks.
For
Okay,
Councillor
much
Wilson?
appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing what we should have always been doing. We're going to be reconciling the accounts every single month. They're going to be signed off and filed and available for the auditors. This includes bank reconciliations, debtors and creditors, and all of the balance sheet codes. We will also be monitoring regularly purchase orders as part of the new budget monitoring process. We used to do this annually, but that's not anywhere near good enough. 2025-26 accounts will be a standing item in the monthly finance service meetings. This emphasises the importance of this, and it will make sure that everyone's keeping to their deadlines. As regards comprehensive review of our financial monitoring and reporting, which is the last recommendation from the auditor's letter, interim accountant is, as I said, setting up a budget monitoring process. Finance officers will be allocated to each individual cost centre, so there will always be a point of contact there. I'm afraid this is something that we haven't been doing. So in summary, we are in this position because, from what I can see, and reading the reports and speaking to the officers, there's been a lack of resources in the finance team. There's been a lack of budget monitoring. There's been a lack of monthly reconciliations. There's been no monitoring of purchase orders. And budgets have not been updated year on year so we've been working to old outdated budgets. And we've also been using data which is not reliable, unfortunately. So there's been too much guesswork, and the budgets and the reports that we've been producing, to be honest, are not fit for purpose. So this has to change. And we have to make sure, we have to sort of pull our socks up and sort this out. And I would suggest that we do this all together, because the situation is too serious for anyone to start playing politics or making political points. We've got our team ready. We've got consultants in. We've got help from the Local Government Association. We've also got people in from CIPFA, who are the Chartered Institute of Public Finance Accountants, also helping us. And we're going to I'm afraid we're going to have to stop building up our finance systems from scratch again to make sure that we've got something that we can all rely on. And that's something I'm determined that I'm going to push through. So hopefully I will have council support on this tonight. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the extra time.
Do you have a seconder, Councillor Wilson? Yeah. Councillor Hilton, would you like to speak now or reserve the right?
I will reserve my right.
Okay. Okay, we move on to amendments. The Community Independents have an amendment. Councillor Alistair Chambers.
Thank you, Mayor. Members, today we're being asked to accept the statutory recommendations issued by Ernst & Young. Let me be absolutely clear, we must accept them, but by accepting them alone is not enough. Not after 4 years of missed statutory deadlines. not after cyber attack that exposed deep weaknesses in our financial governance, and not while our residents are still living with the consequences of those city council failures. That is why this amendment is necessary, proportionate, and above all responsible. First, our amendment calls for a full independent review of the council's financial governance arrangements, not a review conducted behind closed doors, but not a review limited to senior management, but an independent external examination of how the council has made decisions, overseen finances, and allowed spends, overspends, and delays to accumulate year after year. If we're serious about rebuilding confidence, then we must be serious about accountability. This is not about blame, it's about learning lessons and setting a higher standard going forward. Secondly, we call for regular public reporting. For far too long, progress on accounts and on governance improvements has been hidden in internal updates or quiet footnotes. Residents deserve to see monthly that this council is doing what it says. Audit and governance that's been managed by Councillor Victoria has been absolutely fantastic since she's taken over, so I'd like to thank you for that. Audit and governance, overview and scrutiny, and this full council should all receive clear, transparent updates so there can be no ambiguity or excuses. Third, we insist that the LJ decision-making accountability review is published in full, not just circulated among senior staff. Residents have paid for that review. Councillors are responsible for delivering it. It therefore must be brought back to full council with a costed action plan so we can see exactly what needs fixing and how we intend to fix it. Fourth, we propose a temporary but essential safeguard, no new spending commitments, no permanent staffing expansion, and no non-essential projects until three conditions are met. 1, we have a balanced budget for 2026-2027. 2, our reserves are rebuilt to a safe level. And 3, our statutory accounts are fully up to date. This is simply financial common sense. When a household is in difficulty, it stops taking on new spending. This council must do the same. Fifth, this amendment creates a cross-party financial recovery board chaired by an opposition member. Why opposition? Because oversight must be independent, fair and trusted by all parties. This is how we prevent groupthink, restore credibility and ensure that no one can claim the process was politically managed. We also call for audit reports since 2021 to be re-examined with clear lessons learned documents so no failures are never repeated. And finally, we require the council to publish a transparency recovery timeline with milestones that clearly set out risk so everyone from councillors to residents to auditors can judge progress objectively. Colleagues, this amendment does not weaken the statutory recommendations. It strengthens them. It ensures that they're delivered. It ensures that trust, badly damaged, can begin to be rebuilt. If we want to show our residents that this council has learned from the past, then we must vote for action, not words. We must vote for transparency, not secrecy. We must vote for rigorous oversight, not quiet assurances. Therefore, I urge all council members, whatever party you come from, to support this amendment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Alistair Chambers. Do you have a seconder? Okay, Councillor O'Donnell, would you like to speak now or do you want to reserve the right?
Reserve the right, please.
Okay. Councillor Wilson, do you confirm you accept that amendment?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That becomes the substantive motion, and we now move on to introduce the second amendment. The Conservative group, and that's Councillor Stephanie Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are bringing forward this friendly amendment because the council is facing a period of significant financial challenge and uncertainty. The Section 24 notice from our external auditors makes it clear that we need to strengthen our oversight and governance arrangements urgently. The Audit and Governance Committee is central to this effort, but it is currently dealing with highly complex financial issues that require specialist skills and up-to-date training. It is vital that members are properly supported so they can scrutinise financial matters effectively and respond to risks as they arise. Additionally, there has not been an independent member on the committee for several meetings now. Independent members add enormous value by bringing external expertise and challenge, helping us maintain high standards and public confidence. Replacing the previous independent member is essential to restoring the committee's full effectiveness. Above all, these amendments are about ensuring we work cross-party to safeguard the council's financial viability so we can continue to deliver essential services to residents and provide taxpayers with real value for their hard-earned money. I hope colleagues will support these constructive changes, which are designed to help us meet the statutory recommendations and strengthen our governance for the benefit of everybody in Gloucester.
Thank you, Councillor Stephanie Chambers. Do you have a seconder?
I would second it.
Okay. Would you like to speak now, Councillor Miller, or you prefer reserve the right?
I'd like to speak now, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. It is clear to me, and I hope to all members of the Council, there have been a number of issues with financial reporting and other governance matters at Gloucester City Council. The underlying reasons may be complex, but what is clear is that additional focus on governance is essential to ensure the accuracy of reporting in order to make the best possible financial decisions, including robust budgets. These amendments all aim to do exactly that, to increase the quality and depth of review of the Audit Committee through adding to its numbers, by improving the training and perhaps most importantly, recruiting the independent member of the committee, which the Constitution and good practice actually requires. All these measures will improve the committee's ability to question and probe more effectively. As chair of the committee, it falls to me to recommend these important improvements, so I beg the council to second this motion.
Councillor Wilson, do you accept that amendment?
Yes, I do, Mayor.
That will also therefore become the substantive motion. Let's move on to the main debate. Councillor Tracy.
It's only little nitbits. I thought I heard when you said a weekly meeting. Can you emphasise on that, please? Yeah. And also, would that mean there would be a wage freeze for staff and councillors? Thank you.
Any further debate? Councillor Chambers de Bruce.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to apologise for being late, but what I really want to say is it really concerns me. I'm not saying that it's not important that we do it, because it's desperately important that we do it at this stage, but the amount of money that we spend on independent inquiries and getting people to investigate these things. We've just had this with the car boot sale, and again, as was said all along, there was no foul play. We're going to have this again because of the financial mess that we're in with the auditing, and we're always being told that the council doesn't have any money. Yet where is this going to come from to put this right? It just seems that mistakes made over the past few years are costing us dearly at a time when we really, really can't afford this. And actually, the whole thing about audit and finance and being on top of things, that's crucial to what the council does. And I'm actually quite embarrassed that we are a council that have ended up in this position and are now having to spend more money putting all this right and investigating it. But it's crazy. We've put ourselves in a position that we just shouldn't be in.
Any further debate? Councillor Stephanie Chambers. Councillor Patel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we're all here for the same reason, really. We want what's best for this council and this city. And it's really unfortunate that we are in this position that we are. But we repeatedly get told, well, certainly we're not the experts, are we? We're not financial experts, or we're not in charge of running the council. it gets to a point where you have to look at the leadership in the council, in the authority, because something so serious of this nature, it's not the first incident. There's been other issues as well that have arisen over the last couple of years. And sometimes people have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, right, I've got this wrong, and I need to do what's right. And sadly, that's not always happening. And, you know, some of these senior managers, managing director, are on a big whack. They're on £140,000, £150,000 a year of taxpayers' money. And they need to take responsibility. End of the day, we end up as administration or whoever's in administration or as councillors, we end up getting the flack and the stick from the residents. But it's not us. We're not financial experts. I'm no accountant here. We listen to the officers time and time again. That's what we are told. We listen to the experts. And the buck stops at the top. And sooner or later, we have to look at this and say, enough is enough. Thank you.
Councillor O'Donnell.
I've really only got one thing to say, and that is the fact that we were aware of the missing accounts, and we were aware that we were in some kind of financial trouble, and yet we still saw it fit to give the Leisure Centre £8 million after they won the bid, which clearly we couldn't afford. And I even got a grilling for asking to see receipts for what we're spending the money on, so we keep track of this money. Is that why our accounts are so bad? Because nobody keeps track of these things? Because we don't know what they spent the money on. Could have had a good piss up for all we know. But I just don't understand why we still did that when we could have kept that money and made it work for us.
Councillor Conda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that we had a disclaimer of opinion from the predecessor auditor, which only came in at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Do we have any comeback on the previous auditors for not picking out the weaknesses in our information that we were passing to them? You know, they seem to have left it to the last minute. We could have acted sooner if they'd flagged up concerns before that. I don't know if there were any flags put up before then. Maybe somebody does.
Councillor Dr. Trimnall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't going to take part in this debate, but I just want to say one thing, and this is really important. I've got a huge lot of respect and our newly appointed Section 151 officer, and she needs all the support that she can get through this council, because if it wasn't for her, then we don't know how long things could have continued for. So I think it's really important to emphasise that. And the last thing we want is to lose our Section 151 officer in any way, shape, form or whatever. So please, for respect for her, we do need to work together with this going forward. Thank you.
Councillor James.
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate that really from the Labour group and say that I think all the staff in the finance department need our support at this point, and that I think it's great that it's looking like we're all going to work together to try and sort this out and make sure it never happens again.
Councillor Stephanie Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say and echo about the finance team and everybody working in it now, but I also want to give thanks to everybody that was working in it during the terrible time of the cyber incident, because we've looked back at that and why it happened, and maybe there were lessons learned about why it happened, but actually it did happen, and it was a shock to everybody working within the system there. So I think we also need to thank everybody, because everybody working there at that time did their best at doing what they thought they could manage in the terrible situation they were left in. And I think that's just important to note. And it is easier now looking back in hindsight. And I do think reviews are important. And the mention about the car boot sale, I think the review was a very good thing, because it didn't say there were no issues. It highlighted that there was actually no process for dealing with leases. And actually this city council has a lot of property holdings, and to have a proper process set for dealing with leases going forward is a really, really important thing to do. So I think that review was vital and it was important. I don't know how much it costs, so maybe we should look at and have that on every review about how much it costs us to do the reviews. But I think it's always worth looking back, and every opportunity and every process you do is a learning experience. So I think that's really important that we do that. Thank you.
Councillor Harris to Chambers.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate what everyone else has said about the work by one officer. I found her nothing but helpful, explaining everything to us and explaining the situation, the predicament the council is in. That said, though, I do want to mention, off the back of what Councillor Patel said, that there is obviously issues here, significant issues. Just looking back at Marketing Gloucester, failure of the car park, maintenance, cyber incident, the trees dying in the car boot, recent payment, people being buried in the wrong graves. There's massive issues, big issues that this council has had, issues that shouldn't happen, issues that repeatedly are happening. And we need to look into how they're happening, why they're happening. And like Councillor Patel said, the buck stops with us. Councillor Stephanie Chambers had to apologise for accounts and etc. for the times that were before her as a councillor. I get pulled up for being part of the Conservative administration previously when there was issues with the accounts, although I was only a Conservative member for a couple of months. The buck stops with us regardless of what happens. And like Councillor Patel said, there's so many times in audit governance, so many times in scrutiny where I've asked for the information behind the reports and we've been denied it. We've been denied the substantiation of how these reports have been created. I've been denied the actual appendices to show how these reports have been created. I've been told I've just got to go by the officer's report. If I was given that information and that substantiation to the report, the appendices and the report sensitive information, and there was an issue and I'd reviewed that and I'd voted for it, then I'd hold my head on the chopping board and take responsibility. But we're not given that information. We're not seeing that information. Officers are. And whether there's Liberal, Democrats, Conservatives, Independents, Labour, whoever's the administration, they get the slack, they get the blame. And it's unfair because the officers remain in place, whether they're fit for purpose or not. And there's some fantastic officers, like we said with the 151 officer. There's some really good officers. Tanya, there's some fantastic ones here, some not so good. But the problem is these officers remain in place. They're not elected based on performance. And the concern is people don't want to remove them if they're not fit for purpose. They're not doing what they're meant to do because there's tribunals, etc. And people look at it a way of trying to claim money out of the council and sue quite easily. So I'd like to reiterate what Councillor Patel said. I completely agree with you, and we need to be looking into how these massive issues are occurring, why they're occurring, why this council keeps failing and it's failing miserably.
Any further debate?
No, she's already
You've already spoken, Councillor Tracy.
in this debate.
In this debate? Yes. Any further debate? Councillor Hilton.
Yeah. Well, can I just thank all the members for the mature debate we've had so far on this issue. The new Section 151 officer, when briefing me about the problems, and I'm now having meetings every week with her, said that this was a perfect storm that hit this council. Failure for 4 years accounts to be set at the time, the cyber attack affecting all those sort of things. The leaving of, we lost 2 Section 151 officers pretty quick in that time. And it's really good that we've recruited a new, really good, high quality Section 151 officer in April of this year. And we're now in a stage, I think, where when you could say that we're, what was the terms of, we're in the discovery stage, and that we're getting close to the end of the discovery stage. We've had SITBA in digging around trying to find out absolutely everything, and any of the skeletons are there in the financial cupboard. And then soon there'll be another cabinet report in December, but we'll also in December be proposing a recovery plan which we'll need to deal with, and that's the reason why we do need that cost member group to go through that to make sure that we're all in agreement, because frankly, we're going to have to make some pretty tough decisions to get through this financial crisis. But I'm sure we will do. I'm sure we will do. The LGA review is also taking place at the moment, and it was a request that was made initially at the Cabinet in September when we added an extra amendment in to look at it. So they're now in for the next 3 weeks, interviewing every member of the finance team and some of the officers who are technically the customers, in order that they can then present a report to us, which hopefully will be published in January, which will recommend how we strengthen the finance team. And that's one of the issues when Alistair's amendments, you know, there are points in there that we agree with, there's points we're not absolutely sure is the correct way of phrasing it, and one about not taking on any extra members of staff. It might well be that in order to sort the finances out, we have to take on extra members of staff, otherwise we won't get through it. There's also the issue that one of the ways that we're going to take this council out of its financial problems is probably driving up the commercial income. And therefore, it might be that we have to hire people to drive up the commercial income to put that one forward. We've got major assets worth £250 million in the city, commercial assets, which are not being fully let, not being fully utilised, not providing the income we need. So we're going to have to look at that as well. And there's going to have to be some service cutbacks as well, in order to get to the point where in the future we balance the books and we've got a sustainable finances. But it's going to be a difficult road ahead. I say we've been in this discovery mode for about 6 months now. It takes a long time for a finance officer to dig around and find out what the problems is, and then come to the absolute accurate conclusion of where we stand. And that's where we've been over the last few months. And as far as the Ernst & Young letter and the recommendations, we agree them. We've actually started to do some of that work already. I agree that we need that independent member on the Audit and Governance Committee, and that we need to improve the training. I'm not sure about the numbers on the committee, because I think the important thing is that we have the skilled members on the Audit and Governance Committee, the ones that are good at this sort of thing. And not all members are particularly good at the audit and governance. So I just think we need to make sure that we get that balance right, and we get the best members of this council on that committee, so that they can check the figures that are coming through, check the audits, and do the work that we hope they would do. And Karen, you're absolutely right. The staff need our support, particularly in the finance team. I think my gut feeling is they've been understaffed, and some of the competence is not the competence of the individuals, but the competence of the team has not been as good as it should be, and that some members have been taking on work that they're not skilled about. So we have to resolve that as well, but we've got to support the staff in order to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any further debate? Okay. Councillor Grells.
Sorry, it's collective row of size along my side. So the one thing that we haven't mentioned so far is the role of scrutiny in all of this. And we've talked about your responsibility, the officer's responsibility. But scrutiny, as Victoria has shown, has a key role to play here. And unlike Councillor Chambers, I welcome the inquiries, because I think with inquiries you learn and you go forward. Otherwise, we're forever in the dark. I really don't see why people would not want to have an inquiry into whatever subject. But I just repeat, and I'm not going to make this political, but there are areas where the administration can make scrutiny more effective by giving us the tools that we need to do that work. So instead of discouraging scrutiny from doing an effective job, make it easier for all of us, every elected member, whether we're the leader or whether we're the most junior member, give us the tools and the opportunities to do our work. Thank you.
Is there any further debate? No, no. Councillor Wilson to sum up.
Yeah, okay. Just want to echo, well, actually, I just want to, again, place on record my thanks for the maturity of the debate tonight. It's very encouraging that people are understanding the gravity of the situation that we're in, and we're not sort of defaulting to, I suppose, party political point scoring, etc. So I'm really pleased to see that. There was a few issues that people raised during the debate that I just want to quickly answer. Pam talked about weekly meetings. Those are internal meetings, staff meetings. So it's to do with.
I just wanted to just break it down for me.
Yeah, yeah, weekly meetings internally, not with members. It's about how make sure that people are on target to produce. Yeah, to produce the statutory accounts.
It's Councillor Tracy.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the question about the car boot inquiry, that was part of the normal internal audit programme, so there wouldn't have been an extra cost there. They would have probably rejigged the audits that they were doing to fit that one in. So there wasn't any cost there, and I'm glad they did do it because they produced a good report, which and some recommendations which we've already accepted. As regards the Freedom Leisure contract that Councillor O'Donnell mentioned, the 8.5 or the 8 million for the capital investment, that's money that we will get back in the management fee. So ultimately, there is no cost to the council as such. So that's not the issue that's concerning us now. As regards the comment from the disclaimed audit from Councillor Condor, yes, the previous two audits were disclaimed, but the reason for this is this was an instruction from the minister, because as well, when we talk about perfect storm, one of these perfect storms was the fact there was a crisis in the audit industry as regards councils and public bodies all over the country were not getting their accounts audited in time. So to clear the backlog, the government issued a directive that said that we had it would be acceptable to have disclaimed audits to clear the backlog. It's something that I don't feel particularly comfortable with, because you just don't know what's going to be there. Disclaimed audit doesn't have the same level of scrutiny that a normal audit would have. But that's to do with I think the previous government, they outsourced it. They got rid of the audit commission and outsourced it to the private sector. And then for whatever reason, the private audit companies didn't have the capacity to cope with it. So we ended up with this backlog, and that's why. So we weren't unusual in that sense. It's happened to other councils as well. But if you talk about sort of a perfect storm, we could have done without those disclaimed audits, if I'm honest. And finally, I echo the words of the cyber incident. I mean, I have said in the past, what happened to us in the cyber attack was like being bombed back to the Stone Age as regards financial systems. We were literally put back to pen and paper, and then ultimately spreadsheets.
Time.
And, I've always said that I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, and to be working in a company for that to happen to them. So that's just what happened. Perfect storm, and that's where we are. But thank you for all your comments tonight, and a lot of the comments are taken on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move to the vote on the motion that was amended. All those in favour? All those in favour? Yeah. Against? Are there any abstentions? That's unanimous. It's carried. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can we record that as being a unanimous decision?
That was a unanimous decision, yes. Okay, we're all done this evening. Thank you very much. Have a safe trip home.